Now, your First Alert weather with Chief Meteorologist Stephen Bowers.
It's all about that elevated fire threat on this Tuesday evening. A red flag warning continues until 9 o'clock this evening, and then we get a break overnight. And then tomorrow, the red flag warning is there from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. for virtually all of us on the western slope. Remember, red flag warnings are issued for the high fire danger, and it means that weather conditions are favorable for fires to start and spread rapidly. The weather contribution from this, remember, is the gusty wind, and we've easily had 35 to 40 mile per hour gusts today. And then the humidity is just incredibly low. Very, very dry air really adds to the problem here. I do want to mention, though, we also have a new fire weather watch for Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is kind of the precursor to a red flag warning, and it will likely be upgraded to a red flag warning. Temperatures at the top of the 6 o'clock hour are still primarily in the lower and middle 90s. Humidity is in single-digit territory area-wide, and these wind gusts 25 to 35 miles per hour, so they're down slightly, but there's still a problem. Peak wind gusts today have been in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range all day long. They've started to back off just a little bit, and they'll back off even more after the sun sets. But then tomorrow, we're going to do it all over again. Now, our futurecast is holding us down to about 15 to 25 mile per hour gusts. I think that's optimistic. It's probable that we're going to be a little bit more gusty than that, with gusts perhaps up to around, say, 30 to 35 miles per hour. I do think we're going to be a little less gusty than today, but we're still going to have some gusty winds tomorrow afternoon. So let's talk about this. You know, we had that great moisture in the winter and in the early part of the spring, and we got a lot of new vegetation growth. And now all that vegetation, it's just drying out. Now you pair that with low humidity and some gusty wind, and you get a little source, something to spark a fire. Right now, we don't necessarily know what that was, but something sparked it on the side of the Battlement Mesa. And so we started a fire. The wind then came along and started fanning those flames. And this has been growing. This fire has been growing. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. Now look at this. In the middle of a fire, the temperature can go hotter than 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It actually gets hot enough to melt glass in these wildfires. It's incredibly hot. Now that heat, remember there's an old saying, heat rises, and it does. It rises very intensely, and then air rushes in underneath that to replace that intense rising air, and because of this you get especially gusty winds right in the immediate vicinity of these big wildfires. So they do have some influence on the weather in very localized cases, and then the weather, of course, can influence them as well. Now, tomorrow we start okay. By lunchtime, the fire danger is going up, and we're going to peak at, say, 6 or 7 on our fire danger scale, which ranges from 0 to 8. So we're nearing the top of the scale here. This backs off tomorrow night and into Thursday morning, and then during the day Thursday, it's back to at least a 5 or 6, and that's why we already have fire weather watches that have been posted for Thursday. Our Alpine bank camera just doesn't want to work this evening. 91 degrees is the temperature right now at Grand Junction, and it's going to be a warm evening. We're stepping down through the 90s. There's an update for you into the 80s by about 8 o'clock, and then by 9 o'clock we're talking about 82 degrees. Lows in the morning, mostly 50s, mid and upper 50s, as mild as 61 at Grand Junction, and then highs tomorrow primarily are going to be in the lower and middle 90s.